Post-Corona by Scott Galloway. Welcome to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, and who doesn't want to make self-growth normal, then make sure to smash that like button. It's currently December 2020, and the last few months, glancing at Audible from time to time, I wondered when we can expect all these new audiobooks, at least trending in my preferred nonfiction categories, about COVID. And last week, I found this new piece of work by Professor Scott Galloway from NYU Stern of Business. This guy put out one of my favorite books ever. It's called The Four. It's about how Facebook, Apple, Amazon, and Google are taking over the world and what they all have in common. It's a really crazy concept. But then you read it and you probably don't look at business the same way ever again. And as soon as I saw the name Scott Galloway under Post-Corona, I was like, all right, I'm hungry for some beef. Let's get into it. And I haven't checked out his other, at least like, decently reputable The Algebra of Happiness yet. I will at some point in the future. I got a lot of books on my list, but let's get to it, shall we? In this review, I'm going to talk about the chapters. I'm going to go over some standout quotes. There were so many standout quotes from this book. I don't remember the last time I had so many standout quotes from a book. Then who I recommend this book to, as well as what books to maybe check out next. Boy, does Scott Galloway have a bone to pick with this one. In the introduction, he explains how a virus 1/400th the width of a human hair grabbed its ear, weighing 13 billion trillion tons, and set it spinning 10 times faster. I don't know exactly what that means, and how a lot of us are left wondering, like now, like, well, what about after? The core of this book is going to be about how the pandemic reshaped business, how big tech companies are most favored by the crisis, how other companies are being favored, what opportunities are coming out of it, higher education, and a little bit about healthcare and how it's all on like the cusp of like transformative change, but everyone just seems to have like blue balls trying to either not make it happen or they're trying to, but they're like, I don't know. But he has a lot of hope lingering in what seems like this just sharp humor that he displays throughout his work. Underneath these changes coming of age in a worldwide crisis has the potential to mature a generation with a renewed appreciation for community, cooperation, and sacrifice. A generation that believes empathy is not weakness and wealth isn't virtue. He uses the word culling in the first part called COVID and the culling, and I'm not sure what that means. In fact, I swear that I've actually never even heard it before. Culling? What does that mean? Calling with a U. What? Is it like calling you? It actually kind of is. The reduction of a wild animal population, probably talking about like businesses as animals, by selective slaughter. Maybe selective means like indirectly slaughter, as in we choose the big ones and the smaller ones suffer. Galloway has taken quite the liking to Tesla. I think he has a lot to say about what Twitter could be doing differently, and there's a lot of stock talk in this chapter, if that's the thing.
Hey Jerry, we gotta go to the back and have a stock talk.
It's so weird the way he looks at exploitation, talking about the gig economy, and this guy thinks that, he seems to think that there are so many different types of economies, which there kind of are. Uber preys on the disenfranchised and offers sub-minimum wage work that is flexible and has few startup costs. Is this a failure on the character and code of the Uber management and their board, or an indictment on our society, which has allowed these cohorts of vulnerability to form in the millions? The answer is yes. What he said about Amazon dispersing the retail store to our front doors and Netflix dispersing the movie theater to our TV, phone, and computer and tablet screens, it all reminded me of Kevin Kelly's The Inevitable. I forget which force of the 12 he talks about in that book that are reshaping the future. But I know that it is one that has to do with convenient distribution and dematerialization. Side note about the virus, I don't know if this is just like Eastern Pennsylvania right now, but I feel like since we got back from the shutdown and we kind of moved into the green phase, I swear it looks like less people are staying at home and more people are going to Chick-fil-A, Walmart, Target, Starbucks, Home Depot, Bath and Body Works, McDonald's, Wendy's. Isn't this extremely counterintuitive from like a financial, economic, and safety related viewpoint? This guy may as well have likened the effects of COVID on business to a safari. And in this section, he's taking us through a safari. Here, folks, if you look to your left, you'll see restaurants and airlines suffering. But if you look to your right, you'll see Apple and Google collaborating on a contact tracing app that lets you know when you're in contact with someone who has the virus. I think asymptomatically as well. People sometimes wonder why Apple and Google have so much money that they just kind of save. It's partially because you need cash to execute on large-scale decisions like these. In the beginning of the part called The Four, I learned that if you build your business from the ground up to be online and data-driven, you can sell more of your product for a higher margin to more people. There's a lower cost of capital, and the companies who have figured this out have exploded. Did you know that 82% of American households have Amazon Prime? Who knows that many? Technology companies like the Four move and grow and expand in not just their market shares, but their markets shared. And they do this at what seems like beyond superhuman speeds. And the best examples you can find of this today can just about only be found between this author's book, The Four, from I think 2017, and this section of the same name from post-corona. Something I love so much about Scott Galloway is what he compares to the quantities he presents to get his points across. And it's something I didn't notice till now, but he does this all over his books. It doesn't just give you some perspective on how huge something has gotten, but it's done in a way that can't really be duplicated easily. I mean, did you know that this year Netflix is going to spend more money on producing Stranger Things, and other nationwide favorites than the US government is going to spend on food stamps? Who on earth knows this? Because in order to know this, you have to know two different quantities that have nothing whatsoever to do with each other. In the part Other Disruptors, he goes over other disruptors, I guess. But like, what invites disruption particularly? Some of these things are like pseudo-innovation and rising prices when nothing's actually changing. A few of the best examples in the US are probably healthcare and higher education. Before hopping into the higher education system section, he reminds us the aspects of human instincts that successful firms have found ways to exploit. The brain, the heart, and the genitals, and he also adds a fourth one in this book, the gut. Although scientists are beginning to claim that the gut is like a second brain. The brain, we are constantly looking to answer questions about the world around us. With the heart, we have this innate human desire to connect with each other. With the gut, we have always worked to accumulate the most resources for the least cost. And the genitals, well, the genitals are why people are motivated to buy products and services that make us feel more successful and good looking so we can attract better mates. The shiniest unicorns in the world, the section's called, it's a tasty little slice of companies that are worth paying attention to right now in the author's opinion. Lemonade Insurance, Peloton, they make a $2,000 workout bike with, what is it, like a $40 monthly subscription to like streaming and stuff. One Medical, who will allegedly make you never want to go to a normal doctor ever again. And of course, Shopify, the anti-Amazon Amazon. And other ones you probably already know about, like Twitter, Tesla, I think he mentioned Netflix, and TikTok. Higher education, this whole part gave me the politely put impression, mind you coming from a business school professor, that college is probably right now like the biggest scam in America, and it is on the cusp again of a transformative change. A lot of the material in the beginning of the Commonwealth part can be summarized in a chapter about capitalism. In my favorite book ever, I can't seem to go like maybe 2 or 3 book reviews without mentioning it, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Scott Galloway, he loves capitalism, but he's also a pretty decent fan of socialism, and like seeing both sides of the coin is something I imagine is ideal for the future of our country. As he puts it so well, capitalism creates more spoils, so any empathy has more to work with. The toxic cocktail, however, is to combine the worst of both systems. For the last 40 years, we've been doing this in the US. We have capitalism on the rise. If you can create value in this country, you will be rewarded with spoils vastly beyond anything comparable in history. If you can't create value, if you're born into the wrong family or you catch a bad break, you'll likely live on the edge and pay dearly for your mistakes, a Hunger Games economy. Should you reach the heights of wealth or be born into them, circumstances change. Despite our rhetoric about personal responsibility and freedom, we have embraced socialism from the top down. By the way, people have gone from the heights of wealth to the doom of poverty and vice versa, out of choice. There are all too many reasons why the former happens, but the latter should continue. But I hope it's something we can do by ourselves and not primarily with much help from the government or each other, as harsh as that might sound. I'm saying this as someone who, despite my privilege, loves to learn from like rags to riches stories of like building inner confidence and fighting for what you want by like conquering your own demons. This might just be the way I see it though, but like, I don't know, I feel like it's a lot easier to give to others when you can create that. There's a lot of great stuff in this Commonwealth section, definitely some food for thought regarding economic inequality and how ridiculously it has changed in the last year. We looked to Bill Gates to tell us what to do as Dr. Fauci got diminished. We wait for Tim Cook to get us masks, Elon Musk to supply ventilators, and Jeff Bezos to vaccinate us because FEMA and CDC are not doing it. But predicating society on the unaccountable goodwill of billionaires is not a recipe for long-term prosperity. It's asking Pablo Escobar to fund the police. Oh, and if everyone in Congress took a look at the Calling Corona Corpse section, or maybe just this entire book, but specifically that section, that'd be great. Thanks. Quotes. In any crisis, there is an opportunity. The greater and more disrupted the crisis, the greater the opportunity. Nothing can happen for decades, and decades can happen in weeks. A combination of good lobbyists and PR people, high consumer awareness, and a deep connection to national pride can save an industry by giving it a capital lifeline from history's deepest pocket. Apple's phone was so successful that the company dropped computers from its name, and now it's producing TV shows. We used to trade our time for value. Now we trade our privacy for value. I'd argue we now trade both time and privacy for value. Freedom of speech isn't freedom of reach. There are few things that indicate an information age jerk more than a CEO wearing a black turtleneck telling people to find their passion. Airbnb can roll with the punches, while peer hotels just get punched. This is the definition of good marketing in business. Finding products for your consumers versus finding consumers for your product. 67% of Americans feel that the economic system favors the wealthy, but we tolerate this because we think, I can clearly see the game is rigged, which is what will make it so sweet when I win this thing. And we wonder why veterans are urinating on Market Street and 18% of children live in houses that are food insecure. Diabetes, income inequality, and fake news are all a function of our belief that more is better. Direction 1. I recommend this book for anyone who is taking a look at the US right now. They're looking at the economy and they're scratching their heads wondering, well, what next? Direction 2. If you like this book, you might like The Four also by Scott Galloway, especially for more info on, well, The Four. For more information on the data that we allow large companies to collect about our lives and how it's being used, you might like Free by Chris Anderson, as well as, if you're feeling a little bit bold, The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. If you're looking for like how to take advantage of recessions and colossal economic and emotional disasters for dummies, you might like also If You're Not First, You're Last by Grant Cardone. Post-Corona by Scott Galloway. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books I mentioned in this video if you want to check those out too. If you guys buy anything through the links in the description, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere, and I will see you then.